No matter what I do, it's as far as you go.
Hello, Chris here, together with Luke, and today we're going to talk about Edge of Tomorrow, which is the new Tom Cruise movie. And the reason we're doing that is the director, Doug Liman, was in freezing cold London town today to show us 20 minutes from the film. It's a kind of science fiction, futuristic, monster, alien invasion, time travel movie. It's got a bit of everything going on, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, it's quite busy. So, like, I didn't know much about it before. You pitched it to me before we went in. I didn't know what to expect. And, you know, I was expecting another Tom Cruise sci-fi. I mean, the last one I saw was Oblivion. And so I just assumed, you know, it'd be Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise. But no, bit of a different character than usual. So he's quite cowardly in this film. He's kind of dragged along by his bootstraps a bit by Emily Blunt, who is the heroine. Don't know. It took me a while to warm to that, actually, as him. It's not the character that I'm used to seeing him playing. I mean, how did that work for you? Did you enjoy that? Did you think?
I did. You've cut quite far ahead. Let's scroll back a little bit, though.
We'll come to that.
We had the film was previously called All You Need Is Kill. It's now called Edge of Tomorrow, and Tom Cruise popped up on screen to begin with to do a brief introduction of the movie, to talk a bit about his character, Bill Cage, who I didn't know he's a PR man in the movie, which I wasn't expecting. Tom Cruise, the PR man, in a science fiction film, and he said he'd lost his firm previously, and he was now doing PR for the military, and then he gets thrown into the midst of this battle.
Yeah, so aliens have invaded, right?
Aliens have invaded, and he said this one was on the eve of our destruction, that the film takes place on a single day. Yeah,
and so the battle is kind of set in, well, I guess it's either the Normandy landings, right, or it's kind of taken place in Britain. I mean, I think it's London,
Yeah,
right?
well, it kicks off with him waking up in Heathrow, they said.
Yes.
Where with the fresh recruits. And, yeah, that was the first scene they showed us. They showed us a lot of scenes from the film, actually. I think we were quite surprised at quite how much they showed.
And they chopped together quite quickly, so it was a bit confusing.
Yeah, so we're going to try not to do too many spoilers here, because there were some spoilers, but we will be talking about a few details in the movie.
Especially director, Mr. Liman, lovely, telling us exactly how the film ended.
Well, I'm not sure he did, but...
really? Okay.
But yeah, so we've got Tom Cruise waking up, not knowing where he is, and he meets Bill Paxton's character, who's what is he called? Sergeant Ferrell.
Yes.
Who's very much a drill sergeant straight out of kind of Full Metal Jacket.
No relation to Will.
But with a wicked sense of humour, I thought. Like, the banter between those two was quite funny.
Yeah.
And the first couple of scenes we saw was basically Cruise's character trying to convince Paxton's character that he shouldn't be there, that he's not a recruit, that he doesn't want to go to war, and failing miserably.
Yes, because he's been done for desertion, hasn't he, or something?
Yeah. Paxton seems to think that he's deserted and he's been impersonating an officer, and that doesn't quite ring true. So I think there's something to do with the time travel element there, where he's been set up in some way, hasn't he?
Yeah, because we haven't, and we didn't see anything about that. We were kind of thrown in at the deep end with that, so we don't know that either.
So the next scene, that they're going to invade France, where clearly these aliens are kind of have landed, and so they're on a plane, and
it's like a dropship type thing, right?
And Cruise is panicking because he doesn't know how to get the safety off his weapon, and stressing, and the rest of the recruits look like they know what they're doing, but he is totally clueless. And it's quite a different Tom Cruise to the one we're used to seeing, isn't he?
It's quite unsettling, and also, like, he's got this this kind of hat on, this hard hat, or this helmet, and he just looks a bit ridiculous. It's kind of oversized. He doesn't look comfortable with it. It's really, really kind of actually not how I've ever seen him before in any of the films.
No, Doug Liman mentioned the fact that he's very much a coward in this film.
Yeah.
And that if you haven't heard Tom Cruise squeal before, he squeals quite a lot in this movie, which I'm quite looking forward to. But it's nice to see him as someone who is scared and isn't, just totally brave. And
I hope it's a bit refreshing for him as well after, 400 movies of being an action hero.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. Yeah, I mean, he does. He did say that he doesn't really become an action hero, but some of the scenes that we were seeing, I was like, okay, Doug.
Yeah, well,
you say so.
Well, he's kind of dropped on the beach, and it did then have very much kind of a Saving Private Ryan aesthetic going on, with just panic and fear set in, and chaos on the beach with all the humans trying to do battle with the aliens, because we see them for the first time.
Yes.
And how would you describe the aliens?
So the way I describe them to you, and I'm probably going to get told off for not knowing the exact kind of terminology, but like how the Venom suit is kind of portrayed in Spider-Man, this kind of almost liquid, but kind of quite stringy and what have you. And so they do this kind of weird Catherine wheelie thing, right, where they spin around and flail, wrap around.
Tentacles kind of killing everything in their midst.
And so they're kind of, and their cores are made of, it looked almost like molten, they were kind of like
molten
furnace
blue.
or something.
It was a molten blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, some were blue and some were red. So that was quite interesting, I thought. We've seen so many alien movies recently. It's quite nice to see I thought it was quite a refreshing take, actually. I haven't really seen anything like that.
I'll be honest, I wasn't sold on them.
Really?
And we didn't really get a sense of them in the footage either. So that was one thing. If they're going to be the big bad in this movie, we need to kind of get a sense of who they are and what they're here for, and whether they're going to really be a villain to be kind of frightened of. And I've read the book that this movie's based on a couple of years ago now, but when I read that, I didn't really get a sense of them. So it'll be interesting to see if there's something they're not showing us.
Well, because the thing, he did say it's you know, a story about them. It's kind of these two. In a way, he said, like, there's aspects of it being a love story about those two. But then also, you know, Tom Cruise at one stage mentions this thing called, you know, the Omega and stuff, which, you know, the last. So obviously that is presumably the big bad.
This is also the scene, the first time we meet Emily Blunt's character, who's clearly the second protagonist in the movie, and she is a badass. In the book, and you get a glimpse of this in one scene in the film, they call her nickname's Full Metal Bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is this tough-as-nails soldier who we see kicking ass and taking names in the footage. And then, she kind of bonds with Cruise's character, and then he dies. Spoiler alert, but this is at the start of the movie, and this is very much what the movie's about. And so the rest of the footage that we saw were kind of scenes of him dying and waking up again at the beginning of this day again.
Yes.
Over and over again. So we won't really go into details of that, but you do get a sense that, well, certainly he starts becoming a super soldier, because by repeating the same day, he can get better and better at what to expect and physically and mentally. And equally, you get a sense that the two of them bond and start working together, and like you say, maybe a bit of a love story develops.
Yes, I mean, there's some stuff that I'm not sure we're going to go into about how much she kind of is involved in that whole story. But
she knows more than she's letting on, I think.
Yes, but no, it looked quite good. I mean, Emily Blunt as well, very different role for her. We don't usually see her in these kind of, you know, well, we haven't seen her in action roles, but funny as well. There were moments of humour, definitely. Yeah, well, then
Lyman did a Q&A afterwards, and he said that the film is much funnier than maybe he even expected. It was only when he started shooting he got a sense of the tone of it.
Yeah.
And there were funny bits, but he said it's much funnier than we've even seen. And he was talking about what a great comedic actor Tom Cruise is.
Yeah, which, I mean, I guess we have kind of seen before. Like,
yeah, you know, a little bit. Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Risky Business.
He's very good in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, he was asked about the title change, because the book was called All You Need Is Kill, and he said it was never their intention to call it that.
No, because he said it was funny, right?
Yeah, and it was too serious a title. I mean, he didn't say why they called it Edge of Tomorrow, and that's still a bit of a nothing title to me.
Yeah, you said it's like a Kylie Minogue song, right?
I did say that. Does that sound weird?
Yeah, it's okay. Just wanted to get that in there.
He talked a little bit about the scene that was in the press a little while ago, where they shut down Trafalgar Square in London, and they landed a huge military helicopter. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that sequence, but... No. I'm quite excited to see that, and he said that as a director, like, those are the moments you really live for.
Yeah. I mean, it looks good. I mean, it definitely won me over as we went on. So I'd say, what? Did we see maybe 25 minutes of footage?
Yeah, I would say that.
And it definitely, the more I watched, the more I kind of enjoyed it, because we did actually see the first day quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then we jumped really far, I think, just to, I guess, before the penultimate kind of conflict or whatever happens. And yeah, it definitely won me round the longer it went on. And I thought would be a bit simplistic, like, you know, time travel movies, they were always full of paradoxes and difficult. But now it seems, from what we've seen, and it's not much, but it seems quite...
I mean,
promising.
The one film they're not going to be able to avoid comparisons with is Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And there was an element to that, to what we were seeing, in the way that Cruise knows what to expect each day, in the same way that Bill Murray's character knows what to expect and can kind of avoid people getting hurt and things like that. But Lyman kind of addressed that briefly by just saying that the difference here is that, yes, Cruise is like a superhero in that he's experienced the same day over and over again, and so can get better and more powerful. And I think someone says he's turning into a weapon at one stage.
Yeah.
But the difference is that Emily Blunt's character is so smart that from the clues he gives him and the things he says to her, she has it figured out each day pretty much. And so she can go along for the ride with him.
Yeah. And in a way, push him and manipulate him into, you know, using him as this weapon.
Yeah, and there was a scene, the final scene we saw, which takes place at a farmhouse, which I think was towards the end of the movie, so we certainly won't say what happens there. But yeah, that was very interesting. There's a lot more layers to the time travel loop they're in than you kind of, it seems that's there at first.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, so the movie comes out at the end of May in the UK and most territories, and the first week of June elsewhere. And yeah, keep it locked to IGN for more information on this movie.
I'm not a soldier.
Of course you're not. You're a weapon.